So this is an example of how I want you to take your notes per section. So the first thing you should do is in the top right-hand corner of the page, make sure you put your name. The first lesson is going to be 1-1A. So technically it's just the title of the video, the two numbers and the one letter. And this has to be on each page of the notes that you take for 1-1A. And then, put in the date that you took the notes. And what you're going to do to your page is a little unusual, and it'll seem like you're wasting space, but thank God paper is all recyclable now. You're going to draw basically 3 lines. You're going to draw this horizontal line, and above it is going to go the title of the notes, and that's also in that first 5 seconds of my lecture videos. And as you're taking the notes, I might throw some definitions at you. So that would go on the left-hand side, and then you could, say it's a definition, and then let's say it's the definition of, what's a good one? An event. So if it's a definition of an event is a specific outcome. It's a kind of a quick way of saying it. And that way, on the left-hand side of your page, this other line that's going to separate your notes, on this side is basically going to go titles of examples, definitions, formulas, things like that. And then on the right-hand side, in the main body of the document, is going to go what they're attached to. So this definition of event is attached to a specific outcome. If you have an example of an event, then you would say something like, when looking at a stoplight, the number of cars that go through a red. So the event is the specific outcome of a car going through a red. And that way you can have your example separated from the words that are associated to it. And it would be really easy to find on the left-hand side. You just scroll down and you'll see what you're looking for. And the main reason that I do this is I had a student over the summer of 2020 that put a formula over here, had a bunch of other stuff written around it, and she couldn't find it. So I actually had to pull up her notes and show her where her formula was. So that's the main reason I'm having to do this, is so that you can find things, since my notes in this case are your textbook. So if you have a formula, one of the first formulas you're going to come up with is what's called percent change. And if you have a formula, I highly suggest that when you write the formula, new minus old over old times 100, that you put a box around the formula, because those usually become kind of important little pieces. And usually underneath the formula, I'll have examples based on it. So that way you see the formula, you know that there's going to be examples based on it, and then over here in the body, you would write the example. So it's a little bit more organized than just writing notes down on your paper. Probably most important is sometimes what I write in my example, I say a lot of things while I'm writing it. So if you think there's something I say that is important that I don't write down, use the empty space that is below the word example to write in things like, when you see the word per, it means a fraction. Things like that. I'll say just offhand, and I figured that you'll, just absorb it, but sometimes people need to write down side notes. Use the bottom part, this third line that's going to go across the bottom of your page. So each one of these lines, the left one and the bottom one, about 1.5 to 2 inches from the bottom and from the side. Should be enough space. Down here, you should write questions that you might want to ask me in one of our meetings. That way you can quickly find your questions and then be able to ask me instead of trying to remember them as you go. Other things that can go down here is side work. Other things that I say that I don't write down. So an example I did out for one of my topics that you will be learning in Module 2 is probability. So in the top right-hand corner, Joe Smith, this is 2-1A, and the date at the time I did this was 7/10/20. And then the title of it is probability. So I have my definitions of experiment, outcome, and event. And then I have my example. And you'll notice that as you scroll down, the left-hand side of this page, it's really clear of what I'm looking at. I have a definition for experiment, definition for an event, then I run into an example. I write the example into the body, and then the example goes through what piece is which piece. And if I had any side notes about what, I said in the video that still confused you, you can write little side notes over here. And at the very bottom, I put summary on this one. You could do a little summary about what the notes were about on that page, or you can put in your questions or, things that you still don't understand about what I talked about. And that's really important because if there's little holes in the information that is in my notes that you're not getting, I need to know about those so I can fill them in for you. And don't forget that if there are formulas, you want to put a box around them so that they're easy to locate. And of course, on this side, you want to be able to write formula and then the name of the formula. So naming things is really important in math because otherwise, everything's just a number. So again, for the first page of the section, you'll want the title page to look exactly like this up in the top right-hand corner. You don't have to do the fancy box or anything. Just, the blue stuff, the name, the section, and the date. And any other pages that are for 2-1A, make sure you label them 2-1A because you're going to be turning in 2 sections notes at once. So I'll be looking at 2-1A and 2-1B in one submission. So take a picture of this with your phone, email it to yourself, and submit it into Moodle. As I grade your notes, I will make comments to make it, if you're not doing it properly, I'll give you suggestions on how to do the next notes better.